Could Bruce Lee beat a UFC fighter or Mike Tyson or someone? I got into this conversation with a friend, and he was saying how Bruce Lee could beat Mike Tyson and all kinds of stuff, and that he could beat a UFC guy. I'm not talking about an MMA fighter. Anyone could be an MMA fighter, whatever. You go to a gym and train, and you're an MMA guy. I'm talking about a legit UFC fighter who's the best in the world. Because UFC fighters are technically the best in the world, right? Alright, so you told me that even though Mike Tyson was a big dude, that all that didn't matter because Bruce Lee could break your kneecap and you couldn't move forward and all this stuff. And Bruce Lee was so powerful that he hit harder than everybody. We watch documentaries when they say that Bruce Lee hit hard as a heavyweight from his friends and his family and all this stuff and all kinds of stuff about him being the strongest dude they ever met, yada, yada, yada. Well, I mean, he's 135 pounds and there's laws of physics and stuff that I don't know nothing about. But from judging from what I see in real life, that it's probably impossible that he could beat up Mike Tyson or anyone like him. Could Bruce Lee get lucky and break his leg? Yes. Could he do some jiu-jitsu, maybe break his arm or something? I'm pretty sure it's possible, but is it likely? No. Why? Because Mike Tyson hits like a fucking truck. He's not going to stand there. He's going to fucking hit you back and break and shatter your 130-pound body. Second, could he beat a UFC fighter? Depends what weight class. I'm sure he could hold his own against some lower level guys because their skill levels will be different. They don't know anything like Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee doesn't know anything like them. Practices like a traditional martial arts where they practice like a more realistic, proven style martial arts, which is MMA. And I just think that, yeah, Bruce Lee wouldn't stand a chance overall. He's definitely not going to beat up anybody bigger than him. He's not going to beat up, what's that guy's name? He's not going to be able to beat up John Jones for a fact. He's not going to be able to beat up Daniel Cormier and all them other badass motherfuckers. I mean, Brock Lesnar would kill Bruce Lee, pick him up, slam him on the fucking concrete, and it'd be a done deal. Do you guys not understand? Have you ever been grabbed by a 200-something motherfucker that wants to just grab you and throw you around, even if you lift weights? I'll semi-lift weights, and I'm in pretty decent shape, you know. Still can't fuck with a 200-something pound muscled up motherfucker. If that motherfucker wants to grab me and chunk me on the fucking ground, that's something I could fucking do. You know, it's pretty fucked up. That's what happens when you're a small little midget compared to these 250-pound fucking athletes that can fucking fight. And these motherfuckers kick you in the arm, it'll break. There's a reason why Bruce Lee, you never see him on any fucking real life shit sparring anybody or fighting anybody, because he knew that he could get fucking killed in a fight with these big motherfuckers. So instead, he made movies, and you know, you gotta keep your reputation, you know, look like you're unbeatable and make your fucking persona huger than life. That's just how it is. So yeah, I don't think he could beat Mike Tyson. I don't think he could beat a fucking UFC fighter. He sure as fuck couldn't beat Fedor Emelianenko. He couldn't beat any of these legendary motherfuckers. And with all due respect, Bruce Lee's martial arts kind of suck. Like, I don't mean to talk shit or offend anybody, because I love Bruce Lee. I'm a Bruce Lee fan. And I used to think he was the greatest fighter in the world when I was a kid, so I started seeing UFC and like these guys that could really fucking fight, and they were devastating motherfuckers. I'm scared of these type of guys. Goddamn, they'll fucking beat the shit out of me and I'll be killed. Look, honestly, he couldn't. His martial arts were like good, but they weren't that great. Has anyone ever seen that fucking video where he's like doing karate in a karate tournament? It's bullshit martial arts. I mean, I don't know what he believed in martial arts, but the majority of his martial arts were like stand-up. He never really showed much grappling, and it was like some bullshit type of martial arts. Like, it was kick, punch, kick, and it wasn't even like Muay Thai based. It was more like a fucking kung fu, karate, side kick, jab with this hand or whatever the fuck. He never used wrestling or fucking, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu or any of that shit. And let me just tell you, I don't know for a fact, I'm not a fucking martial arts guy or nothing, but I've had a wrestling dude take me to the fucking ground and make me feel like all the other shit was useless. Like, all that shit I've seen dudes do, it's horrible, you know? They grab you, these fucking wrestling guys grab you, throw you to the fucking ground, it hurts, and then you get on top of you, you can't even move. Then I had a dude trying to break my fucking arm, showing me some jiu-jitsu moves, and he was this dude who's did it for 8 years and shit. Motherfucker grabbed me, put me in arm locks, threw me around on the fucking mat. that was some real shit. I didn't see Bruce Lee do none of that on his movies. I don't know if he could or he couldn't. Some people have pointed out that he's not very good at it in real life. Like they looked at his armbar in the movie and said it was horrible or something. I don't know. I was just saying that there's some real legitimate martial arts out there that'll fucking devastate you instantly. And it don't seem like he was practicing any of them. Like all his were like Asian-based martial arts, which are usually bullshit. Minus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I get it, it's a hybrid or some shit, but the majority of these Asian arts are bullshit. You look at, someone said, I forgot who it was a real guy who was an expert in karate. I don't know if it was Chuck Norris, some other guy, but he said when you look at martial arts like from Asia, they were all theory-based, they were all bullshit. It wasn't, karate didn't become more like, more realistic until it got brought to America and they started doing tournaments and showing what could work. He was, I don't know if it was Joe Louis or the fuck Chuck Norris, one of them guys, and which makes sense. It makes sense that that would be the way to look at it. Now, I will say there's some legit karate dudes like that Shin, what was that? Shin karate, some shit. But anyways, back to the point. Yeah, there was an interview with Michael J. White where he said he could beat Bruce Lee and the whole world got offended apparently. I don't know how long ago this was, probably a while back. I saw it on YouTube. Michael J. White could fuck Bruce Lee up. I know everyone's like, oh, you can't say that. He's a master. He's unbeatable. Yada yada. Bullshit. If you've never beaten anyone up, you're not a fucking master of beating people up. No offense. Maybe. I mean, maybe you are, but I'm saying, like, how could he beat Michael J. fucking White? Has anyone seen this big motherfucker throw a punch or a kick? He's a fucking animal. The motherfucker is an animal. He's a fucking giant fucking savage, and I wouldn't want to fuck with him. He's a good dude. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I'm just saying, goddamn. I'm not talking shit about Bruce Lee. I love Bruce Lee. I've loved him forever. I'm not talking bad about him, but if you would have probably asked Bruce Lee when he was alive, he'd be like, fuck that, dude. I ain't gonna fight these big motherfuckers. You must be crazy. The guy was a fucking fitness freak. He was a fitness fanatic. He was muscled the fuck up, and no one could beat him up. I get that. That was around his size or whatever at his time, I'm sure. He was a hardcore martial artist, and if you showed him a martial art, he could learn that motherfucker and master it. There's no doubt in my mind if you showed him any of the modern martial arts to Bruce Lee back then, he would master them. He would learn them. He would probably do them better than almost anybody else. And he's a super freak, and no one could fuck with him in that respect. The guy had amazing drive, and no one probably could match that. And that's what made his popularity so great. I mean, that's why most of the people I know believe that Bruce Lee's the greatest ever, because even though technically he wasn't on a physical aspect, because he's just too small, that mentally he was probably the greatest ever in a way, as far as he could adapt, and if he really wanted, he could learn any martial art and be the best at it and all kinds of shit like that. And I think that's what made him the best in a lot of people's eyes, at least in my mind, one of the best ever. Because when I look at him, I look at one of the definitions of extreme will, of sheer will. He reminds me of these wrestling guys I met, they fucking are hardcore athletes. Like, they just drive right through you and make you feel like you don't know shit or that you have no will. So, I mean, these guys, there's people like that. I think Bruce Lee was one of them guys. And I also read a book, and I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I read a book that was, I don't know if anyone knows this, but apparently there's a book written. And the guy that was banging Bruce Lee's wife, or married her after he died, was a friend of Bruce Lee. And this guy, I forgot his name, but he made the movie called Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. No, not Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. There you go. He made a movie called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. It's the stupidest, shittiest movie I had ever fucking seen to this day, probably, as far as like a Bruce Lee movie or anything. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, he sees fucking demons in the mirror. I'm not fucking kidding you. He sees fucking demons or some shit. I don't know if it's through the mirror. He sees them in his dreams for sure. He goes to sleep, and this demon tries to kill him in his sleep. And ever since Bruce Lee was a little kid, his dad told him, be careful, the demon will come for you in your sleep. This is a fucking Bruce Lee story about his life, and it has actual, like, factual shit in it or whatever. All kinds of shit in it. And this motherfucking movie has Bruce Lee going to sleep and dreaming that he's fighting a demon to the death. I don't remember too clearly because it's a long ass time ago. But the movie had fucking a dude that looked like the guy from Shredder from Ninja Turtles, I think. I don't remember. I might just be fucking picturing shit wrong. Fight Bruce Lee. He was the demon. And Bruce Lee beat him at the end and destroyed him and killed him and all kinds of shit. And I was like, whoa. I mean, the movie was a good movie except for that part. When he brought all that stupid shit in, it really was. To me, it was a good movie. I liked the guy that played Bruce Lee. Was a good-looking guy and looked really cool and shit. The movie seemed pretty cool. But when they introduced that shit where he was fighting demons in his dream, a fucking demon, and the demon was a martial artist that could kill, and it killed his family or some shit, his grandpa, in the old days, and it was like, that was the stupidest shit ever, and it destroyed the movie. Like, it fucked that movie up to the core where I can't even watch it anymore. I can't watch it because if I turn the motherfucker on, it's gonna fucking suck. You know, watching the demon part, it's gonna be really good until the demon comes on. Anyways, the reason why I brought this up is because the dude that made that movie, like I said, was Bruce Lee's wife's husband. After Bruce Lee died, she got remarried to the guy that made that movie. Anyways, the dude wrote a book, and you should Google this fucking book, because I read the whole fucking thing in one day. That's how good this fucking book was. Was it one day or two? I don't remember, maybe two. But this fucking book was good, and it was about Bruce Lee. Apparently, this guy, when he moved into Bruce Lee's wife's house, or I think he moved into her house, he went into this room. There was Bruce Lee's room that had every fucking book, every note, everything that Bruce Lee ever studied or wrote down was put into this room. I'm sure there's something else missing, but this is the way he described it. Everything, all the notes he collected and shit were put into this room. And it was a room for everything that Bruce Lee collected, like mentally and wrote down. That's where he got the Tao Jeet Kune Do and all this other shit came from. Anyways, this fucking guy went in there and found medical records and said that Bruce Lee was missing a testicle. How true is that? I don't know. But this fucking book is really fucking good. A lot of people hated him at the time when he wrote this book because they said a lot of negative shit about Bruce Lee. But the point this guy was trying to make when he was reading the book and making the book was the real version of Bruce Lee from what he saw, not from the myth that you see on camera. So when he wrote this book, it was like everything about Bruce Lee, you know, just about Bruce Lee. Really fucking good. And I think he said Bruce Lee had one fucking nut, which is why he had to take testosterone, because the dude had one nut. So apparently he had a lack of testosterone. He had a child. In this guy's mind, he had a childish behavior of wanting to be the best ever because he had a lack of testosterone, which meant he had a lack of interest in women, which meant he focused all his energy on fighting. That's what this guy claims. I don't know if that's true. I'm just throwing that out there, which makes kind of sense if he did have one testicle, that he would take testosterone. Which brings me to the point I was trying to make in the beginning before I got onto all this other shit. Bruce Lee is said to have taken steroids. On this book, this guy says that, and it's not that big of a stretch. I mean, who the fuck doesn't take steroids nowadays as an athlete? Who the fuck has a physique like Bruce Lee without taking steroids? It's very rare. I know you guys can say you're gonna prove me wrong and shit. I can understand that. Y'all fucking mad and shit that I'm saying this stuff. I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm just saying it from a neutral standpoint. That he said this guy, Bruce Lee, took steroids and that he was putting shit, you know, that's why he was so fucking muscled up and beefed up. This was a fucking amazing book when he wrote this. I mean, Bruce Lee taking steroids, my friend always said he was natural, but no. Apparently he claims he was taking steroids and all that, which is why he's muscled the fuck up. I just wanted to mention that. And I mean, I think that changes a lot of stuff. I mean, you could be a super athlete taking steroids, so it's obviously a big deal, you know. Anyways, I was trying to think of what else I was trying to say. He was taking steroids and something else. Oh yeah, and you said during his final movie, it's called The Game of Death. When he was doing that movie, apparently Bruce Lee had stopped working out. Bruce Lee was so busy at work and all that stuff, that shooting movies and stuff, that he had stopped working out, which is why he said on that final movie he wore a tracksuit. Bruce Lee wore a yellow suit the entire time during the movie. I mean, from what I read or seen on Google or something, or on a documentary, that the yellow suit signified, the yellow outfit that Bruce Lee wore signified neutrality, or like it styleless. It means he doesn't back any style, that he's just being himself. He's being neutral, which, you know, is a symbol of no martial arts. He just does whatever he wants. But from what this guy wrote, that it's because one of the other reasons why it was long sleeve and why it covered his whole body was because he wasn't working out and was extremely malnourished and really skinnier than ever. And he didn't want the world to see that, you know. And I just think that it's really interesting about Bruce Lee, you know. I think that he is one of the coolest dudes ever. I mean, will-wise, and the motherfucker was crazy. He punched steel. I read a book about him punching fucking steel, and he put electrical things on his stomach so that they would flex his muscles and shock him. He would try to punch while electrocuting himself slightly. One of the coolest dudes ever. I have nothing bad to say about him. I'm saying I'm a great fan of him, and he was a great guy, I'm sure, and he died really young, and that fucking sucks, but it's a bad motherfucker. I mean, goddamn, who else gets talked about as much as him? That being said, the whole book about it was a fucking very interesting book about him doing steroids, having one testicle, and chased more after his career in fighting than women because of that lack of the one testicle, and him losing weight, being malnourished and all that stuff because of whatever. And he also said something about Bruce Lee wanted to have a what do you call it, $7 million or something by the time he retired from that movie. That was what he wanted his net worth to be, but he ended up getting that amount when he died years later, which is so weird. Yeah, so, you know, to sum it all up, yeah, I don't think that Bruce Lee could beat anybody like that, that he could beat Mike Tyson. I don't think that he could beat whoever. He couldn't beat no heavyweight guys that are UFC fighters for sure. I mean, it would just be an impossibility, and no one could beat them. I mean, goddamn, why would Bruce Lee be the exception? I don't think that that's anything wrong with not being able to beat that guy. I think that people are looking at it from the wrong perspective, like that you gotta be the ultimate fighter in the universe or some shit. That's not good. I mean, not even, there's no human that's the ultimate fighter. If you ever watch UFC, they all lose. The world champions lose all the time. I mean, it's like, you're taking a chance. When you swing at someone, they swing back and they can knock you the fuck out. You're a human being. You're not a fucking immortal. You're not a fucking super person. Yeah, you got super performance. You don't have super defense. I mean, yeah, you look at Floyd Mayweather and see that he's beating guys by dodging them and all that shit, but if you got hit, you get knocked the fuck out. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and plus that's boxing. You got time to just dodge fists. You're not dodging grabs and fucking kicks to the head and all that, kicks to the groin. And another thing is, everyone says Bruce Lee was, you know, a guy that trained to fight on the street, which is a totally different type of fighting. And I understand that, but it's also applicable to mixed martial arts and stuff, which means some of the moves you say that it'll kill someone, or I'll gouge your eyes out and I'll bite you and it'll end the fight. No, it won't. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Sometimes you got a tough fucking dude that'll rush through your fucking attacks and just fuck you up. Just because you pepper spray a guy or gouge his fucking eye and he's got in his mind that he's expecting it or it's not going to fuck him up, then he can fuck you up. There are some really great moves I learned from Bruce Lee. You know, I don't know shit about martial arts, but just like little tips. I read one of his books and he said during a fight, what you would want to do the first time you walk up to someone is you would want to grab their hand and break their fingers right before the fight. So like you'd walk up to a dude, if you're within close range, you just grab a hold of his fingers and break them. Just bend him back as hard as you can to break them. And then the fight starts. And I think that's one of the coolest fucking things he ever said. And I think he's a real fucking martial artist. I think he was the real deal. And it just makes me wonder, you know, because there are some legit martial arts out there, why he didn't apply those into his martial art. Maybe he just thought they weren't good enough, or he just wanted something maybe different. I don't know. But there were some legit martial arts, and, you know, from what I heard, once Bruce Lee died, they went to a different route. So what I mean by that is, I think Jeet Kune Do as a whole, the philosophy was great. I think the martial arts sucked, the martial arts style, because it became a style and it wasn't supposed to be. I think what sucked about it was it went towards Asian martial arts. So like when he died, there was Dan Inosanto and a bunch of other guys that practiced this Jeet Kune Do and all that. And they changed the way the martial art worked, because it was more like Filipino stick fighting and all kinds of weird shit. And they were, doing a lot of Asian martial arts and all that. But in reality, when you see what Jeet Kune Do is supposed to be, it's probably MMA because it's Muay Thai, which works, wrestling, which everyone fucking knows works. You got boxing, which you know works. And judo, which people can make work. You got that chick Ronda Rousey, you could break your fucking back with slamming you on the ground. I mean, you had real martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that could be put into it and called Jeet Kune Do. But, you know, you got these modern Jeet Kune Do guys. I don't know if you've seen a guy named Octavio or some shit, Professor Octavio or whatever on YouTube. And this guy is really good at traditional Jeet Kune Do like Bruce Lee does on the movies. It looks really good and shit. And I don't mean no disrespect, but damn, the moves are, you know, like who would do that in real life? It's like you're copying like a movie, you know? You're copying how Bruce Lee would fight in a movie. And yeah, them moves they do look really good, like in a fucking, these moves are good like in a 1-2 fashion, right? Like you can do it, you got time to do a move, and then you move out the way. It's like them moves aren't. Them fighting styles like Jeet Kune Do shit isn't meant to like flow. It's meant to like be stagnant. Like you do a move, and then everything's right there, and it's like, okay, everything was like a sequence, like it was choreographed. And the shit just looks weird. Like it looks very fake, you know. I mean, I don't know much about martial arts, but I know guys who do martial arts. Like I said, I know a dude who was 8 years in jiu-jitsu, could fuck people up, and he'd fuck me up at will. And then you got this shit you see on TV, like or YouTube, where these guys do fake martial arts, and it's like, whoa, this shit's just stupid, you know. And I guess I'll leave it at that. But I just want to know what everyone else thinks about this. Am I full of shit for thinking this? Probably not. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people could agree that Bruce Lee, though the great fucking athlete he was, couldn't beat all these guys up and all this stuff. And of course, I love Bruce Lee, and I wasn't talking shit about him. He's the greatest traditional martial arts the world's ever known. If he was alive today, obviously he'd be able to kick a lot of motherfuckers' asses. He could beat up Steven Seagal for sure, and a bunch of other dudes. And I'll just leave it at that. Appreciate you, and yeah. All right, I'm out. If you want, you know, leave some comments and I'll respond back. I don't want to get in arguments with people. I don't want to talk shit to people. I understand if you got to do that shit, then you're fucking bored and you just don't got shit to do. I get you. But, you know, instead of talking shit, let's just try and have a normal conversation to give our opinions, respect each other's fucking views, go through it like that. If you don't like fucking comments and normal and you got a fucking problem, but you talk a lot of shit, then I'll tell you you're just a fucking loser. Appreciate you.